嗨，大家好，这里是点捕图大博虎。在北京时间1月27日凌晨，模拟飞行开发团队举行了一场在线 QA 直播。今天的直播放出了不少猛料啊。我们先来对今天直播公布的内容进行一些总结。在这之后是今天直播的全程录像。在这里也做一个预告，在本周晚些时候，大波虎也会制作一期摩飞新闻节目，对今天官方公布的所有消息进行汇总和总结。还请关注频道，以便第一时间获得更新。想说一下刚才直播的内容。首先是1月底，1月31号，澳大利亚。3月底是伊比利亚半岛，伊比利亚半岛是西班牙加葡萄牙。之前预告过，3月底伴随这个世界更新会有一次当地传奇啊，还是从这儿说吧。当地传奇就是1月底的当地传奇是南十字，是人类史上首次跨太平洋飞行的飞机，是一架福克 F7，然后和上一次当地传奇荣52一样，会有多个版本，并不只是那一架，而是有多个版本的 F7。售价没说。然后3月底伴随伊比利亚半岛的更新，这架飞机名字我真不知道，但是它是这个人类首次跨大西洋飞行的飞机，名字没记住，日子没记住，回来查一下。当时的飞行路线是西班牙到美国，然后这架飞机目前保存在德国，开发团队是真的去了一趟德国，做了3D 扫描，然后做这架飞机的是荣52的作者。然后看一下世界更新和当地传奇的这个线路啊，5月是世界更新和当地传奇，5月6月连着俩，然后8月10月这连着更新啊。哦，对，想起来了，5月的系统更新其实是写完的，但是一直没发，是那个 Top Gun 壮志凌云早就做完了，但是电影延期了。5月的更新是这个，想起来了，把这个忘了。然后这是新系列著名飞行器，第一弹安2延期了，因为延期的原因，飞机是做完了，但延期的原因是跟安东诺夫谈这个合作还没谈下来，所以飞机先留着延期，变成了第一弹是后面这一架 Beechcraft D17， 这是第一弹。哎，说这个图上说的是4月，这个我再确认一下，省着出这个事实上的错误。然后在7月、9月、11月会有更多的飞机，至于是什么不知道。然后重大更新，5月这个是大家都知道的，是壮志凌云，里面会有航母。至于还有其他什么东西，目前不知道。但是在5月之前还有一个大更新，目前不知道。6月大更新，目前不知道。在秋季，大概9月前后会有滑翔机和直升机。关于直升机，今天说了很多事情，一会儿讲一下。然后同时还会有一个不知道的大更新，这批更新应该都是会直接影响模拟器的这个模拟的这个层面上的东西。著名飞行器的这2个回来一会儿我再确认一下。但是Beechcraft D17 确定是由 Caronado 制作。Caronado 如果买过他们家飞机的朋友应该都知道，这里简单说一下 Caronado 这个第三方工作室，他们的拿手绝活是3D 就是飞机模型的质量。他们家的飞机的3D 外观模型以及声音质量极高。NC4000水飞机是那个跨大西洋飞行那家吗？好，多谢。跨大西洋那家是吧？继续说 Caronado， 但相对来讲气动操控不是特别好，这是他们家的飞机的一直这样，不是说差，但相对来讲不是特别好。但是现在已经跟 Asobo 成为了官方合作伙伴，那应该可以说以后他们家的气动会变得越来越好。这架 Beechcraft D17 是他们家做的，剩下就是这个关于气动方面的事情。之前说过，为了模拟直升机，Asobo 的目标是模拟螺旋桨扇叶的物理原理，然后他们现在的初步的工作成果已经出来了，会在下月底，就是2月底的更新会时装一部分成果。时装的一部分成果的是King Air 350、塞斯纳172和塞斯纳208的螺旋桨气动会完全更新，也就是2月底更新之后，这三架飞机的操控体验会大改。 同时，这个螺旋桨的改动也会影响到涡扇，也就是所有的波音和空客客机也会影响。这一点我是没想到的，真的。然后这些改动会在4月底更新到 SDK， 也就是4月底之后，第三方工作室可以利用这些成果了。然后之后就是一些闲谈了，其中有一点是关于复杂系统的飞机，比如说 PMDG 的问题。这里官方提到就是他们和 PMDG 啊、Fly-by-wire 和 Phoenix 啊已经一直保持着联络。Rogue 就是官方负责人也纳闷为什么 PMDG 说遇到了开发困难做不下去。Rogue 也纳闷你们在说啥？我们天天给你解答问题，对吧？这个意思。当然，配套的新闻是 PMDG 表示突然间又没事了。至于为什么我们也不知道，反正这是现状。至于 PMDG 的 T37还是没有时间 ，PMDG 已经决定不公布任何日期了，反正就等着就行了。之后是 Xbox， 这个问题有点严重，就是大家都知道 Xbox 上的 DC6现在还在下架，还没上架呢。这里他们解释的原因很大程度上是 C++ 老代码的问题，并不是说代码本身有问题，而是说 Xbox 的运作方式，他们是需要沙盒环境以确保安全性，但是现在他们的沙盒环境对 C++ 的支持很差，造成了这个问题，以及他们解释了他们在测试期间在开发机上没有发现问题，但是真正扔出来发现问题很大，所以下架了。至于修正呢，他们修正方案是他们会完善 C++ 的沙盒，但是开发工作还会有15个月，所以在 Xbox 上想开 DC6的玩家们还得等。这个开发组也表示抱歉，但没有办法。但是如果这个工作完成的话，那么未来的 Xbox 上飞机的这个流程会简单很多。然后是提到一点，就是 DLSS 是确定要支持了。至于什么时候，现在不知道。提到一个 bug， 操作的玩家应该都知道，就是把游戏的窗口，比如说 ATC 啊，比如说相机控制啊，甚至一些仪表弹出独立窗口之后，游戏的帧率会直接腰斩，而且飞得越久，问题越大。他们说到这个问题已经定位到了是一个同步问题，就是主窗口和弹出窗口之间越来越不同步，问题这个原因，然后在下位的更新中会有部分修正。最后是涂装，官方提到了，你说官方原话是，你看 Forza 有那个涂装系统是吧？但他们也提到了今年开发目标不是今年的开发目标，所以反正放了个卫星，今年不会有，是这么个概念。有一个事实回来我确认一下，就是这个安2和D17到底哪个在先哪个在后，回来我确认一下。今天的录像里就是大家先看到这个版本，这个时候我还是不确定，所以我确认一下。本周晚些时候我会做一个对今天所有新闻的这个总结的汇总的一个详解视频。到时候这些事实我会去摆清，到时候大家也可以期待一下。然后没有关注频道的朋友也关注一下，反正应该是本周末这个视频应该会出来。到了这个画面还要等多久，这就不确定了。可能我刚说完这句话就好了，也有可能还得等个10多分钟。我说什么来着
？Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to the very first Slide Developer Q&A of 2022. We are so glad to have everyone in chat with us today. Thank you for joining. We are really excited to be here. Of course, we have our intrepid 3 below me. We'll do some brief introductions. My name is Jane. First of all, I'm community manager here for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And below me, we have Jorg Newman. Hey, Jorg.
Hi, good to see you, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for joining, Jorg. In the middle, we have Seb Luck. Welcome, Seb.
Hello.
Hello, and last but not least, we have Marcel Boussard.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and a Happy New Year. Super pleased to be here and back again.
Yes, Happy New Year to all. I'll just briefly go over the agenda for everyone who's wondering when you can ask your questions and what we're going to do today. So Jorg's going to kick it off here. We're going to talk about the roadmap of 2022, what's kind of coming. We got World Update 7 just around the corner next week. We have our Local Legend 2. We're going to have a couple guests. We'll make them little surprises for you that are going to talk more about these things, though. We have
本次 Q&A 还会有
We'll talk about World Update 8, talk about another Local Legend, And Seb has prepared for us a really fantastic presentation with several videos of some of the sim improvements coming in 2022.
刚才说上是本次 Q&A 还会有神秘嘉宾。
For the year, what that's going to look like, and then we'll move to the open Q&A, where of course we're going to take your questions as well as some of the forum questions that we've already gotten over the past several weeks. So that is our schedule. If you're forgetting that, you can always type in !agenda to reiterate everything we're going to be doing today. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and kick it off to York.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. It's been too long. It's been almost 2 months. Hope everybody had a really great break and that you are as excited about 2022 as we are. If you go to the next slide, last time we spoke, we had just launched the Game of the Year edition. And then the Reno
首先是吹逼回顾，这没什么说的。
in November, and you could see from the telemetry that lots of you guys had fun over the holidays, and I just wanted to say, next slide, awesome engagement. That's all I can say. We are breaking records. November and December have seen some of the highest engagement numbers ever on any flight simulator. And January is off to an amazing start. We will likely exceed December, which is awesome. We added hundreds of thousands of newcomers to a growing base.
2022年线路图。
What's really interesting is we now have almost twice as many people simming as we did in the middle of 2021. So it's quite something. I'm super happy. And then third parties have been killing it. We now have 228 partners. They have put out 866 add-ons on PC, 561 on Xbox.
后面这罗马数字是17是吗？
613 airports, 68 aircraft.
已经安排到那么远了。
I always say it's like a box of chocolate. Getting up in the morning, going to the Facebook pages, reading forums, reading websites, and what people are making. It's super cool. Thank you so much, and amazing products.
如果没记错的话，世界更新是一直免费的，它已经安排到17去了嘛，那么远。
What we are planning on doing on our side. So the first thing is world updates. You know what world updates are: updated imagery, updated tin cities, updated POIs, airports, everything. We're planning 6, and I put in like when we are planning them. There's always a little bit of, are we going to hit those dates exactly? But I think that's what we're shooting for. And alongside the world updates come local legends. We started that with the Junkers.
Local Legends 是那个当地传奇，是配合世界更新当地的那个著名的飞机。然后下面是著名飞行器，著名飞行器第一代是安2。当地传奇安排到7了已经。
We're planning 5. They come out with sim updates at the same time.
然后世界更新1月、3月、5月、6月、8月，好家伙！
Look, there's going to be a surprise. It's coming soon. Can't talk about it yet.
哦，
But soon we can talk about it.
等会儿今年会有几个大更？
In June comes another surprise, a big surprise. Then in the fall come.
当地传奇是付费的，那个现在商店里有一款叫荣52 JU52，那是德国的。
To look forward to. But it all starts actually next week with Sim Update 7.
刚才看5月份是那个
Just a teaser actually.
Top Gun 那个壮士凌云，那个是跟电影上映，这没什么说的。哎，预告片。画面好黄是吧？
All right, just a teaser.
那我应该知道什么问题了。稍等一下。
Launches on January 31st at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And just to give you a quick overview.
这样应该就好。
So about 60 people worked on this. Bing Maps provided aerials. They worked on integrating new data.
这个预告片好短啊！这么短的预告片你放这不都昆士兰是吧？
3 terabytes of data. about 500,000 files. All that was integrated. We worked with Orbex, which is an Australia-based company.
那个画面黄是我这边的问题，是没注意。各位先不好意思。
Airports, so Long Reach, Mount Beauty, Shell Harbour, and Paraburdo. I always mispronounce that one. And what was great about that is they know Australia inside out, so they could really help bring the country and the continent really to life. Then Bing Maps contributed 11 what we call tin cities, photogrammetry cities. So we have Sydney and Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, Hobart, Cairns, Darwin, Townsville, Bunbury, and Mackay.
刚才说那一大长串是那个照片测绘城市，真的挺多的。
Like 13 people, and they're helping us speed up. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to get more photogrammetry cities as we go throughout 2022. Very cool. Perfect Flight made new missions. So 5 landing challenges, 6 discovery flights, 5 bush trips, and so we'll obviously put everything together. But it's our biggest update yet, and it's really looking.
探索飞行、着陆挑战、联飞都会更新。
They love what they see, so it's hopefully you enjoy it too. And then alongside it comes Local Legend 2. We just talked about this.
当地传奇2南十字，这个是之前预告过的，这没什么说的，应该新的预告片。这架飞机是人类史上首次跨太平洋的那架，就是那一架。这太短了。
So again, it's just a teaser. This one is the Southern Cross, which is just one of the planes that are coming in this package.
这架飞机说实话没什么新消息，这之前所有新消息我是在其他的视频里都说过。简单说一下，就是这是一架单独的就是特定的这一架，型号是福克 F7 3引擎。这一架飞机是1928年的时候，人类史上首次跨太平洋就是用的这一架。Sir Nado.
Thank you for having me today.
Hello.
哦，惊喜你就没惊喜了，你刚才那个字幕已经剧透了呀。它是 Orbex， 然后这架飞机是 Orbex 做的，然后 Orbex 正好也是澳大利亚的工作室嘛。
And as Jörg said, the first one we started with was the Southern Cross.
说出来那架飞机现在还在那个澳大利亚布里斯班机场保管，然后是展出的。如果去布里斯班的话，你是能看到这架飞机的，是公开展出的。如果谁去布里斯班的话，也可以记录一下，可以打个卡啥的。
There's actually 6 variants of the plane. So there's 2 Southern Cross. So we have the original cockpit that was flown.
一个新的消息是有买的这个包里会有6个型号，并不是单独的一架。
GPS there, but radios and nav radios, you can navigate around. And I was actually flying at the weekend with the team as well, and flying around testing all the nav radios and things, which is awesome. So there's 2 variants of the Southern Cross. We have the Josephine Ford, which is the ski variant. I think there's a picture there, Jane. I can't quite see the stream. There we go. So the ski variant is Josephine Ford, and that was the variant that was flown up to the North Pole and back.
6个型号应该就是不同的航电和起落架版本，这个正起落架是带滑板的，加一块一共6个型号。
We've actually been flying around, not doing the landing challenge at Courchevel, but actually doing the landing challenge on the ski slope and then skiing the plane down the slope. Nice. We've had great fun with this one, actually testing the ski mechanics as well, which is brilliant. So and then the next variant we have is Friendship, which is the float variant.
这个还有带浮筒的版本。应该就是3个起落架，2个航电，然后排列组合加一块6个版本。
for that particular flight as well. And again, we've had great fun with this one, actually doing water racing, testing the mechanics out of trying to get it to ski on one ski, and have great fun with these planes. So the F7 cruises around about 170 kilometers an hour, so 90 knots. It's not a fast plane, but you can fly it slowly, and you can fly up to those speeds as well. It's got a good.
不过这种老飞机也无所谓，就是。
So it's a beautiful plane to fly, and it's absolutely amazing for VFR flying. Certainly with the clouds and the sunshine behind you and coming through the canopy and the wings as well. We also have other variants. So we've done some transport variants, and that's the F7A1M. So it's a single engine motor. With cabins and some special liveries for the 1M. And we also, for the 1A, and we also have the 3M variant, so the tri-motor, and again with transport liveries. So all in all, at the moment, there's around 11 liveries, 12 liveries, depending on licensing, but around 11 or so liveries, all faithfully recreated.
然后说是有11个涂装。
1920s plane. And we're fortunate to be able to get into the Henry Ford Museum to actually do 3D scans. So with Friendship, with Josephine Ford, we've had the full 3D scans of everything on the particular plane. So it's faithfully recreated from those scans. Everything is kind of millimeter perfect, which is awesome.
Wow.
But they're amazing planes to fly. We've had a lot of people really enjoying this project. And it's not been a labor of love. We've actually loved working on this plane. It's been absolutely amazing. The whole team are so enthused about this, and the trailer gives me goosebumps every time.
说是那个，因为刚才说这架飞机就在布里斯班嘛，所以是 Obex 直接拉了个团队过去布里斯班，对那架真的飞机进行 3D 扫描的，是这么出来的。
I think we're doing community stream week after next. I'm really looking forward to flying with people on that as well. So it's an absolutely amazing plane to fly, and it's beautiful to see in the sky as well. And even the shadow on the ground is, I get goosebumps every time I fly it. It's absolutely.
预测来说，应该就是3D 模型是肯定是非常逼真的，剩下就是看操控了。但由于这架飞机是1928年的老飞机，所以操控。 到时候看吧。
It was 83 hours that Kingsford Smith flew over the Pacific, but we got it. We have all the waypoints and all the information, and we're really trying to celebrate the accomplishment. Really, right? It's the first one that actually crossed the Pacific. Big deal. Actually, that plane was used as Elise said in so many accomplishments. So it's cool. Anyways, we think it's going to be a worthy successor to the Junkers U-52, and we hope you all enjoy it when it comes out January 1st.
Yeah.
1月31号和世界更新7一块上，这个是收费的啊。世界更新免费，然后这个是收费的。售价好像没说是吧？不过我估计应该也是15美元的样子。
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you for joining us, Elise. We
really
appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right, and next is, I'm not sure I see the slide, Jane.
著名飞行器是安2，也就是运5，是一个东西。
I called it famous flyer number 1.
3月1号。
Because some people asked, what's the deal with the Antonov? Well, the Antonov is done. If you ask Andrei,
安2已经做完了，就等3月1号公布了，3月1号开卖了。
But it's basically done, and we are still talking to Antonov about getting the license. So given that, we have another plane that was intended to be famous flyer 2, but we might actually ship it first.
喂，不对。
This is March 1st. Alongside Sim Update 8.
安2是没有拿到授权，所以安2延后了。那么他们把本来预计第2弹的著名飞行器挪前面来了。那么是啥？
So this new plane that we're announcing as a new development partner. Here we go. Next slide.
Serenado， 刚才那个已经剧透了，不说了。
I think he's here.
Yes, Fernando, would you like to turn your camera on and we can chat with you for a few minutes?
给大家不知道的朋友解释一下，那个 Serenado 是已经做了很多第三方飞机了。
Thank you。
然后他们家的飞机以这个外观和声音极其的优秀而出名，气动和操控反而不是什么强项了，但是他们的外观和声音非常的好。然后要做的是 Beechcraft Model 17。
Some people say it's like the Cadillac of the air. It's a very popular.
也就是说，这架飞机会在3月1号开卖。
One thing about it is the lower wing is moved forward than the upper wing, making it a very particular shape when you see it from the profile. This aircraft was used vastly in the war for ambulance transport and cargo. And after the war, it was converted for mostly civilian use. It is a classical aircraft with a lot of history behind. And we
不过拿到了 Serenado 的合作，我是没想到的。
Very close to reality as possible in every aspect of the aircraft. In the aircraft, for example, when you sit in the virtual cockpit, you can almost smell the leather. You can touch and feel the part of the cockpit.
现在正在吹他们的外观。这个确实是不是他们吹，他们家的飞机做的外观确实是强项，真的是强。
Using VR, it's like being there. The sensation is incredible. In terms of performance, the aircraft is very close to the real one in all stages of flight. Takeoff, climb, stall, cruise, landing, descent, everything is well done. We have read a lot of documents and all.
现在说他们的气动，反正他 Serenado 的人觉得气动是做的不错，这到时候看吧。但确实是他们家的强项就是外观和声音非常强，不服不行。
The real aircraft is a really piece of art, and we try really hard to make it as close as possible to the real thing. It's a very nice aircraft.
Absolutely, we're very excited for.
Yes. It's a very, very nice one. And for those of you who don't know Carenado, but I guess many of you know.
发音是 Carenado， 我跟你念错了。
Company which develop aircraft for the most popular flight simulator, but we're mainly focused on general aviation area for the Microsoft Flight Simulator right now. We try to bring to people high quality products that are capable of recreate simplified flight experience simulation, but very close to reality.
是那个核心模拟玩家肯定更期待气动更新，但是伴随世界更新来这么多的东西，确实很能，就是很能这个面子上有更新的嘛，这是可以这么理解，对吧？不冲突，可以这么说不冲突，因为他们现在的那个开发组的这个经过1年的磨练，他们这个节奏已经掌握好了。我刚才想说的是那个既然 Carenado 跟官方有合作了，那说明他们家的气动会做得越来越好，然后配合他们本来是强项的这个外观和声音，我估计他们家的飞机以后会我觉得有点扯，知道吗？
All right, and then as it is tradition, when we are close to launching a world update, we announce the next one.
世界更新8是谁了
？See what we're seeing, but world update 8 is People can probably see it already.
Yep.
西班牙。
Yeah. So Portugal and Spain.
伊比利亚半岛那是西班牙和葡萄牙。
Really good progress. So we have new dam, really good dam, 2-meter dam for Spain. We got 6 new tin cities, 99.
3月底世界更新8，伊比利亚半岛、西班牙加葡萄牙。
The models for this one, and we get new missions from Perfect.
这边的当地传奇会有啥呢？我还真想不出来。
It looks stunning. You see a couple of pictures here. Here's Barcelona. We have lots of bridges, lots of fun to fly in.
我操，这个建筑物。
There we go. All right, and then alongside it, as we just
当地
said,
传奇3， 我刚想问你就说，
Local legend number 3. Like the Southern Cross, we wanted to do something
首次
that's
跨
meaningful.
大西洋飞行。
Transatlantic flight, but the next thing is important. From Spain to South America. So it's a group of Spanish aviators with Roman Franco and 3 others flew this in 1926. And it's a real meaningful accomplishment. But there's stamps in both sides. You know, here's a picture of it. I think this is in Montevideo or something. So it's a famous plane, and the really great news is that the plane is preserved. So it's the next picture I think shows you.
和南十字一样，这架飞机现在还留着。
We are scanning that, and then
这飞机怎么感觉像一飞艇
a replica that we also scanned already in Friedrichshafen, Germany, in the Dornier Museum. Dornier has been awesome.
这架飞机目前在德国，然后他们的团队也去德国去做 3D 扫描了。
So then highly recommend this. Michael van der Meij wrote this book called A Lightning Coming Over the Sea. It's great. His family, his mom started collecting pictures.
它这像水上机，但这个外观感觉就是以前那个飞艇那种感觉。
Unbelievable wealth of knowledge. They helped us quite a bit making this plane. And the developer of this plane is Oliver Moser, the guy who made the Junkers. And he's going to join us next time and then we're going to show off the plane.
做这架飞机的人是荣52的那个作者。荣52大家飞过的话都知道，荣52做的非常好。
Yep.
And then just to show here the world update, the roadmap. I keep doing this, right? I think it's kind of fun. It's almost like the advanced.
再回顾一下那个
Where you open up a little dingy dingy. So we do this now.
5月之前会有个惊喜，5月是众志凌云，然后6月有惊喜，秋天。
We need to get to the questions. We need to talk to sim updates, and Seb has a lot to say about that. So Seb, go.
直升机和滑翔机都在秋天。
Welcome, Seb.
Yeah.
然后是系统更新，各位等的东西就要来了。
So basically, I talked a little bit about this.
这是现在官方画饼环节。
Sometime last autumn. This is really trying to build the road to helicopters over 2022.
讲到那个直升机那个问题，直升机之前就是应该还是之前说那些问题。
Make sure this feeds back into regular airplanes. Basically, the sim for airplanes, how it's been built, is simulating air that flows over
他就
surfaces.
我觉得他应该讲的还是那个之前那些，就是复述一下，就是可以看到现在画面上
Air that flows over surfaces.
螺旋桨上那些点，
For airplanes, these
那些
surfaces
点是升力模拟点，也就是他们的目标是为了要模拟直升机，
we did not simulate
他们要完整模拟螺旋桨的物理，
propellers was
就是螺旋桨的气动物理模型。
FSX-based propeller system.
然后他们现在的结果就是，你看现在这个螺旋桨上这些模拟点以前是没有的，他们目标是把这些都做出来。
surfaces which can move fast.
你看现在螺旋桨上有条线，这条线表示的是升力。
And so we've implemented that over the last month and are starting to use it on.
也就是之前预告过，就是在下次系统更新，也就是2月底的更新里面，会有3架飞机获得气动更新。那么 King Air 350应该是其中一架。 King Air 350应该会得到这个更新，也就是下个月飞 King Air 350的时候会完全不一样。
P factor, you get all the effects, all the torque, everything is natively simulated.
至于到底吃多少算力，到时候再看吧。你现在也只是预估嘛，对吧？
So prop drag now works, etc., etc. I'm going to show a video later on that. So here you see just how it simulates the spinning airplane.
然后按照他们的意思就是， 把螺旋桨的气动做好之后，直升机就是水到渠成的事情了，就是这个意思。是，但你这么想 ，A320也算半个螺旋桨啊，对吧？
movement and area of the propeller disc. You can see the force vectors slowly growing when it accelerates. So this is we can skip to the next video. This is showing the plane.
我操，感觉有点乱流了。
So here you can see the forces are much stronger. And you can see how they don't really point forward, right? They're slightly off because this is how when the surface, just like imagine the propeller blade is a wing. When it goes through the air, the relative wind,
这是熟悉螺旋桨气动的玩家应该都知道，就是它那个桨叶，就是很多现代化螺旋桨飞机那个桨叶是可以旋转的，就跟那个飞机的机翼一样，通过这个旋转来调整攻角，是这么个意思。你通过现在它画面上这个线也能看出来。
On the updated King Air, this is really very strong. On the next video, just showing, well, if you have you will see what happens. So there's a feathered. So feathering now completely works. You can see the propeller is completely stopped.
哦 ，feather， 哦，是 feather， 这个是现在游戏里做不到的一个事情，这次更新之后就做到了。feather 指的是就是螺旋桨，就是螺旋桨直过来了，就是它不再会产生任何气动，是这么一个状态，叫 feather。现在做不到，这次更新之后就做到了。
All the feathering settings in the cockpit, and then it's gonna make the propeller spin.
对，如果你的螺旋桨飞机是有这个扇叶控制能力的话，那么就可以真的做到在天上做出 feather 的效果。当然，你会不会这么做吧？那就是看你自己了，是吧？但这个是确实存在的物理现象。就是买个现在那个 Twin Otter 的玩家都知道 ，Twin Otter 那个螺旋桨的声音贼大，但是你通过调整它那个螺旋桨的那个杆儿，你能把声音调整。这原理就是通过调整螺旋桨的攻角来对这个气动优化，然后就让声音降低，是这个原理，跟这个是完全一样的一个物理原理。所以你可以想象一下，如果这套气动模型它在 SDK 里面上之后，那么像 Twin Otter 那种飞机也能直接利用过去，是这么个意思。
How it's twisted, how aspect ratio, all sorts of different parameters, and based on that, the engine then computes the airflow around the propeller and simulates it correctly. So it was pretty easy to port these three planes. We could reuse the propeller settings and just.
我操，看到现在那些绿线了，不知道直播信号能不能看清啊？这是螺旋桨对风的影响。然后通过螺旋桨的气动模拟之后，你可以看到这个影响。
There isn't that many. It's not that important, and it was hard coded in.
好家伙！
Now for helicopters, we had to really simulate this realistically, but this benefits back and feeds back into the simulation of airplanes. So
刚才是开发人员强调的，就是做这么多事儿。目的是为了模拟直升机，但是过程中发现，因为做了这个事情，那么所有的飞机都可以收益，是这么来的。另外还得强调一下是，这个系统虽然更新到游戏里了，并不是表明你手里的飞机会自动更新，尤其是第三方飞机的话，必须是他们那些作者把这系统自己再接过去才可以，不是说自动就调好，并不是这个意思。CPU 不够用了是吗？这个系统现在不存在，现在是没有这个系统的，下个月才有啊。下个月才有，先说好，下个月才有。
And when the engine starts spinning, it creates this airflow. So for helicopters, really important because those also.
刚才开发人员说这一大溜都是说这个物理模型是啥意思。我刚才也解释了一些，但基本上看这个节目的人大概都能知道啥意思，就是他说的比较基础，说的长段都是这个意思。这个现在画面还是螺旋桨对这个气流的影响，这个是正在爬升的时候。
And you can see how it not just impacts the air over the wing. I mean, when I'm going down, there's not.
如果你说你现在帧数低，那下个月开350会是啥样？你可以试一试。
By the wing, but then
各位想比对的话，也可以试一试。反正你现在开这架350和下个月更新之后的350的感觉应该是完全不一样的。
Propagation of the pressure is working like that. Here you can see I'm stalling. So there was a little
现在是失速
detaching.
哦
And when you're stalling and the airflow detaches, this is going to hit the elevator actually, and so it's going to create native simulation of deep stall. Again, you can see the airflow on the wing, and when I'm trying to stall here, you can maybe see it slowly detaching at some point. There's also the flaps now which are out. And
这是 CJ4 还是 Longitude？
On a jet, so you can see the air is accelerated behind the
这是 CJ4 是吧？
jet engine. I think I'm stalling here too.
难道是另外的更新的 CJ4 吗？
Detaches on the wing. And same thing.
不对啊 ，CJ4 纯喷气啊，跟这没关系吧
？It's gonna hit the elevator.
？CJ4 有扇叶吗？还是纯喷气？我不大了解啊。
Pretty quickly right now. And the depression it creates around the airplane. So the benefits for airplanes are native prop wash.
这么看 ，CJ4 是有扇叶的是吧？
Of wings, we get accurate calculation of the pressure changes over and below the wings.
好，多谢。
Calculate the temperature drops. So we
那就是这个意思。如果我没理解错 ，CJ4 的喷气引擎是有扇叶的。
all these little condensations are going to be accurate depending on the weather.
那么就回到刚才那个 Q1010朋友说的那个问题， 也就是不只影响螺旋桨了，
So for
带扇叶的喷气都也会影响，跟你讲。
If you want to have basically like the temperature on top of the wing, and then you can inject that into a effect of, for example, of condensation. So this simulation for plane makers, you can enable it as a write only. You don't ever read back, so you can still get the condensation pressure or the effects.
对，涡扇，官方名字叫涡扇。
So you don't have any.
但说实话，我是没想到他们真的会做到这一步。 因为纯螺旋桨修改的话，我觉得是说的合理，因为是影响直升机嘛。但是还影响涡扇这一步，就真的是你丧心病狂了。是有活干，但是他们更多的是做工作是把这个系统接进去，然后再调配嘛，对吧？
There's things like that because basically you'll see it on the video that the air on the elevator usually goes down more because it's been deflected by the wing, and even though it's far behind, it's still deflected and it's all being sucked down.
应该不是顺手，还是得细节的调控。这架飞机叫啥来着？
Prop wash becomes native instead of having to tweak it with parameters in the.
这架飞机真不认识我见过游戏里确实有这架，其实叫啥来着忘了。那这个应该就是第3架，之前说过，下个月更新会有3架飞机获得这个增强。刚才是 King Air 350、CJ4， 还有这架，这架名字我忘了。Prop wash 这个官方翻译啥我不知道，但是它这个物理效果是，就是很多螺旋桨飞机螺旋桨不是在飞机前面吗？然后螺旋桨转起来之后，它产生的这个向后的这个气流。 会撞到你的飞机的机翼或者说尾翼什么的，然后这个时候产生的这个气动就叫 proper wash， 是这个意思。因为现在这么一搞，你的螺旋桨产生的这个气流是特别细节了，然后这个气流又撞到了你的飞机的其他操作面上，会产生什么效果？但现在展示的是这个。 那么像这种飞机的操控体验应该会改得非常大。这么一看，
it's much richer and more true to life than it used to be. So you can see I can use the prop wash to lift the tail a little bit. There's a whole bunch of new visualization tools which are coming. So this
只靠 prop wash 能不让这个飞机直接喂747都有。哦，这是尾流，这是大号尾流。
the relative airspeed.
还记得那个李诺更新的时候是更新的尾流的，玩过李诺竞赛都知道尾流效果很强。但是之前说过，那个尾流事实只是初版，这么一搞之后，效果大家看到了。
So one interesting thing here is we're going to use that to create accurate wake turbulence in the world, and this can animate effects like whatever. So ideally we want to fly through cloud and make it spin, but also dust.
官方是这个意思，就是说这个尾流产生的原因是扇叶模拟出来的。影响时间是个问号啊，但确实它能模拟出来，这是第一步嘛，对吧？
Yeah, and all this is going to lead.
这是他们的目的。影响，你现在去飞李诺竞赛，效果非常明显。
Well, the helicopter is always creating airflow that interferes with itself.
你飞李诺竞赛在人屁股后面，能把你吹傻了那个尾流的。
The lift of every rotor here, and here you see when I slow down, now I get a vortex in front, and this feeds back into the propellers, and so the air constantly.
所以还回到刚才说的，他们的目标是为了模拟直升机，然后他们的做法是模拟扇叶的物理模型，然后过程中产生的这个结果是可以应用到所有扇叶上，是这么来的。然后最后现在展示的是他们的本来的目标是为了直升机。好家伙的，哇！你能看出这个龙卷风的这个效果来。
Much more impacting on a helicopter, especially if you're hovering close to the ground.
哦，看出来了，他讲的是这个，因为你扇叶，这个直升机的扇叶是把空气往下压嘛，然后压下去的同时，空气也会往两边跑，相当于再把你抬起来。这个你能通过这个线的这个流动能看出来。但这个气流有什么学名我真不知道。
Thank you, Seb. And all of this is incredible. I think you mentioned it throughout your presentation, but when can we start to expect to see some of these changes in the sim and some of the planes?
Propeller update is coming with Sim Update 8. 3 planes.
对，这是
Cessna 208 turboprop, the King Air 2 propeller turboprop, and the Cessna 152. And it's going to be available for plane makers, so they can just. I mean, I tested it on a few planes. You just copy the propeller block of the Cessna.
这个是最后官方确认，因为刚才我提到过，就是他们之前说过，下个月就是2月底的更新会把这个系统加进来，然后加进来的第一步是更新3架飞机，刚才是确认了3架飞机是什么，是刚才看 King Air 350，然后塞斯纳172和塞斯纳208这3架会更新，同时这个系统会更新到 SDK， 第三方就可以利用了。但这个是初版，所以我估计也不会有人用啊。但未来的这个可以说未来可期嘛，已经做到这个程度了，对吧
？And this will be available as a visualization. So this can be turned on any plane just to visualize, but it doesn't feed back. So basically you see the airflow, but the prop wash will not actually hit the tail, so it's not going to do anything. But you can still see what happens. And so the visualization is going to be available Sim Update 9, and this is going to be open for plane makers from Sim Update 9 if they want to start.
刚才说错了，第三方会在系统更新9，也就是应该是4月底，4月底第三方可以用到，并不是2月底。刚才说错了。
Maybe one more. I have more comment because I was reading the chat and I'm very happy that you guys are as happy about.
就是4月底的时候，第三方可以用到这个系统了。
Somebody said, "Hey, you know, you."
也就是今年下半年会有很多飞机能够得到更新，大家可以期待一下。
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So this is just I mean, it's what was fantastic. It's so easy to make videos with this system because whatever you shoot, there's always like so. The tornado.
这我估计不会。现在云还是算景观的那个级别上。
Every time I made a video on shooting something, there's something new and something different.
我知道大家都想看到这个747穿过云之后这个效果。
More detail on how to use the system, and more of the different like maybe a stall or maybe what happens if there's wind and more different angles like more. We'll have more time in the feature discovery.
I think it's.
当然，在最后再强调一下啊，现在看到的是他们最低一个版本的改动，肯定还会有强化。
I would say,
但是第一个版本就已经这个样子了，只能说是未来可期，对吧？
How accurate the sim really is, and we'll have a lot more to say about this. But
225这个别说了，225那个啥都影响。
This is about as accurate as you can make it, and we are closely tied to companies that make aircraft, big ones and small ones all over the planet. So I just wanted to mention that. Because sometimes people say, "Oh, this is more of a game than a sim." This is completely false. This is totally a sim.
现在 York 就是负责人再次强调啊，我们做的可不是什么游戏，我们做的是模拟器。
I want to see more. So beautiful.
I just love that the visualizer is going to be available in the sim for anyone to pop it on to see what's going on. I think that's cool.
Yeah, the feedback snapshot. This was interesting. So Jane communicated, and it happened.
这是官方请愿，他们再复述一下，看有什么新的消息吧。
So we did that. It sort of makes this section a little bit, we can talk about it more, but we are literally saying what is happening on the top 10. So we can pick a few. Like I think we should talk about the top one because it comes up all the time. Marcel, maybe you can give a quick update.
Oh, I was not prepared for that, Jörg. Thank you.
第一个问题是气象雷达。
So weather API
不能说气象雷达，更确切的说是气象接口数据接口和地形数据接口。刚才直播的时候不有说到气象雷达的一个问题吗？就是现在做不到，是因为这个接口是缺失的，他们正在做。
We just talked about that. Chinese localization, that's on New York. It's ongoing.
It's locked.
Yeah. Multi-screen functionalities that comes with what we did for DirectX 12. We're still improving.
然后又重新确认了中文化确实延到4月去了啊。
The replay functionality is missing.
其他的没什么新消息。
In the dev mode, maybe we can get some feedbacks there. To be honest, I don't know really what people are thinking of this tool and its use or not. That would be helpful. Maybe I didn't spend too much time on that particular topic.
Yeah, Jim,
on the forums.
Topic. I think that would be great actually, because we don't, we basically say, hey, this is in beta. What do you guys think? And then we haven't heard much. So
DirectX 12. Yes, we know that we are still doing some stabilization and improvements, and then will become more features. Maybe we could talk also about the. Well, I think we'll talk about that later. Like some surprises with NVIDIA owners, council owners. The scenario open up.
TMDD 到目前为止都没有提到。我觉得这次直播上应该没他们事儿。
We've got somebody that has started to work on that, like a dedicated resource. So it's going to happen.
TMDD 只是一个合作伙伴嘛，他们也没必要每次都提啊。对于他们来说啊，我是说对于他们来说。
Yet on the table too, we want to dedicate somebody to rework on the system, because the system we've got is pretty much what FSX was having. We patched it, and I think it's not sufficient anymore, and we want to redo that. So that's on the schedule, most probably starting in April.
前2天他们不是放了一个消息吗？说是。那个又没有什么卡壳的，没有开始做的。前2天的事。
We don't give end dates when we don't know, because some of this work is a lot. Like multi-screen, I see in the chat a lot of people ask for multi-screen. The team knows that it's a feature that's wanted. We are saying it's in 2022. We can't tell you exactly when in 2022, but people are working on it. The helicopters you saw, Seb's doing awesome. There's the team behind it obviously also. So all these things are moving forward, and as we have dates, just watch. I mean, this thing is getting updated weekly, so we will put the latest dates in as we get clarity on dates. But it's all planned for this year, and this one, I made
其他的新的消息倒是不是特别多。
So I think I have the top 50 things. So we update that. We have a meeting every week where we talk.
这现在画面里很多都是
exactly everything.
只是错误修正级别的，所以没必要单独提的那种感觉。
We get this type of detail on the bugs, and honestly, so we tried that, and when you go into the threads of these bugs, it literally is like 30 things in some cases. Like photogrammetry is not just.
说到 bug 那个。下个月的更新，他们的目标是修 bug， 不会有什么太多的新功能，除了刚才大家看到的那个螺旋桨扇叶启动之外啊。但是那个是他们一直在做的东西，所以跟修 bug 没有什么冲突。所以复述一下，就是下个月的更新，他们的目标是修 bug， 会修很多 bug。至于到底会修多少 bug， 修什么 bug， 那是现在也说不准。
So Jane, up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think moving forward, we're going to see what we can do in the forums to really get this top bugs list. We want, we're trying to get one bug per thread, so that way we can really comment on each one and give you status updates on everything.
对，可以说健康行动。
So it's all accurate. So we're going to see what
1年多了，也该来一个了。
To tweak that a little bit in the forum, so we can get a really nice top bug snapshot for everyone. And be able to do what we did for the wish list section, which would be really helpful for everybody. So expect some changes in the future. We'll keep you updated in the forum. So
I mean, maybe I wanted to give like a little a reminder. There is an SDK Q&A actually in 2 weeks on the 7th, and Alize and Eric I'll be there too, but Alize and Eric are going to answer most of your questions. Please write more questions. I mean, they really are ready to go.
床垫的话，佳明改的已经很好了。你去商店里下那个叫佳明 NXI， 然后你会发现世界变了。佳明是改的很好的。至于气动，你可能刚来，刚才讲了快半个小时气动。如果你没看到的话，反正现在这个直播的流程，我会在结束之后，我会传到我的 B 站空间里，你可以再看一下。刚才讲了半小时气动，真的。
Yeah, I mean,
谁跟他说 PMDD 的来了？
companies are working on complex planes, and what comes to
复杂系统。
When I think about that, I mean, there's Aerosoft and the Airbus line. DC Designs and their Concorde, which I can't wait for, honestly. Keep reading their Facebook page. Phoenix Sims 320, Indie Simulations 310, PMDG has their Boeing line. There's several A220s coming. So quite a few on development, and we are in contact with just about all of them to varying degrees, and some very tight. I would say, as you mentioned, PMDG. It's kind of funny. We've been in direct communication with them since April 2020. And that means there's 8 folks from PMDG, 20 folks from Asobo, also me, but I'm not saying anything, sitting in a Discord chatting every day. And there's literally messages going around every day. So we had I know Robert voiced his heart on his, sort of on the platter when he said, nobody's listening to me. He's like, well, really? We just talked to you just today. So it's like, I mean, so just know that we are we're paying a lot of attention. The team is trying to respond immediately, and I think the one that Robert was referring to was actually quite simple. Seb, do you remember what that was?
Yes, I mean it was surprisingly simple, and I think maybe there was a little bit.
这个问题是，就是现在模拟器对这些复杂系统，比如说 PMDG 的支持会怎么样？然后首先 York 他说了，就是基本上我们现在知道的，像 PMDG、像 Flywire、像 Phoenix 这些已经正在做复杂系统的工作室，官方都知道，而且都有主动联系。比如 PMDG， 他们在2020年4月开始就和 PMDG 有主动联系了。所以刚才 York 姐提到 PMDG 最近不是经常骂 Asobo 说你们又不给我干活 ，York 说啥呢？我天天跟你聊这个天，你不知道吗？
if you basically have the input, or if the plane is basically not, if you're not plugged onto the plane and it's whatever, run by RTC or something. So it was really a question on how to use this. And yeah, it was already, everything was already there. Nothing to do with, I don't know, complex simulation of aerodynamics or anything. It was more like a, how do we load an in and out question. And yeah, well, it took us some time to really understand what was the question, because it felt so simple. And I think it was maybe a miscommunication on how, yeah, but it was already there. The answer was there. It was in the doc, but I just.
现在是开发组的那边说，跟这些工作室其实交谈有些障碍，是这个问题，就是从开发组角度来讲，你问的这个问题不是问题，因为东西都在，只不过可能交流上产生了障碍，你不知道而已，是这个意思。所以现在 Asobo 跟那些工作室的交流方式就是直接的线上交流，你有什么问题直接问我，然后我们会有专门的人给你解答。通常来说，你的问题不是问题，都有方案，只不过不知道而已，是这么个意思。当然，这是 Asobo 和微软的单方面的说法。至于具体发生了什么事情，我们也不知道。
The first PMDG Boeing plane, I'm personally very much looking forward to this, and Robert knows this. I've talked plenty. I hope it's among them. I mean, it's obviously a complex plane, and how quickly can the team get the plane up and running is really up to them. All we can do is help them with their questions, and they have an open channel to us.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jörg and Seb. The next question I have is another hot topic in the community, and that is live weather. And that question being, what's the future of live weather? There are certainly some changes in Sim Update 7 that the community is curious about, and what.
现在的问题是天气未来的会有什么优化
and implementation of METAR, stuff like that. So I'm going to push that, I think, to Martial, if you have any comments you want to make on that.
Okay, the future of live weather. Well, there's plenty of future for live weather because it will never be done, I think.
首先，官方开发组确认没有什么实时天气的这个事情上没有做完的这个说法。
There's still a work in progress. So we had the chance to work with the great partners that
就永远会有强化。
The concern we've got for including the METAR in their model. So we are lucky enough to have I think the only model that has been created for a flight sim. And yet there are still some issues. There are some issues on our side. There are still some issue for interpreting the data. There are also still some issue on maybe on the model itself, but we are working on that. So I can tell you that since the beta that happened for Sim Update 7, we already did a lot of fixes. Some were obvious, like the fixes we did for this 10SM METAR visibility that were not interpreted correctly. So we also had I've got a list, but it's so long of fixes. We had live weather clouds on ground, and there's no appearing as fog. That's super important regarding fogs and low altitude. I know that now we can display fogs below the sea level. So on some areas like the Dead Sea, it's way much better. So we fixed some conversions unit issues.
刚才说的是近期的关于天气的一些修正，一些全员的复述。
We still know that we've got some improvement to do. One of the improvements we need to bring is linked to the rendering system for the cloud themselves. For instance, we know that we are not displaying thin layers cloud correctly. So sometimes on the METAR you can see that there's an override situation, but this override in the weather we're getting, the information we're getting is a so thin layer of clouds that it's not displayed. So we've got to improve that. We also know that
未来的一个优化点其中之一是这个很薄的云层，现在渲染不出来。
The METAR and the rest of all the information we're gathering from the weather systems are not matched well enough. So this has yet been improved, but it will be still something we want to improve during the times. It will always be something we're going to work on. I mean, if you look at our planning, it's not like the weather and the rendering of the sky is like considered as done someday. It will be always something we will try to improve and
是薄雾，但也有一些薄云，现在显示不出来。但是对于他们来说是一个东西，因为现在的雾也是通过云的那个系统渲染出来的。
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening there, and is there a fix coming for that?
Oh, the fix is done. It was server side, so it should be already fixed for everybody. The situation is pretty simple. This bug was happening between 11 p.m. and midnight time. Basically, it means 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock here in France. So it's a situation that our testers and the developers never caught. So that's why getting some feedback from the community is pretty important, because there's no way we can reproduce every situation all over the globe. So it was like a pretty obvious bug, and as soon as we knew about it, it was fixed like within the hour. But it's the case where, yes, with like having this representation of the Earth and all the situations, all planes, all time of the year, all kind of weather, it creates like so much situation on which we can't be sure at 100% that we can't have any issues here. So yeah, that was linked to the fact that we are not working from 1 to 2 a.m.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
You're welcome.
Next big topic I have here. Yes, I'm going to say the word Xbox. I see you, chat.
能见度是他们确认了今年会要做的，因为现在游戏内面板是调不了的，他们要确认是要能调，那个游戏内面板是要完全大改一次，这个是确认过的。
There's some bugs in there with Xbox crashing, so let's just talk about Xbox a little bit. For example, can we get an update on the issues kind of preventing the release of some third-party aircraft on Xbox?
Yes, so I actually looked at some stats before the meeting. So we have 68 aircraft total in the marketplace. There's actually more in other.
但问的是为什么 Xbox 上有些飞机没有
？But we have 68 on PC and 43 of which are on Xbox, and we have 12 more submitted from developers. So that's just a matter of like the next few weeks, because I don't know if you noticed, but our
对是大改那个他们现在就是相当于放那儿了，他们正在基本上是要重做一回，所以他们就现在那个样子就不改了，是这个意思。
We underestimated that, so we hired a bunch of people, and I think they submitted 100 plus things last week. Some are fixes, some are new, right? It's going to be that.
因为你可以看那个现在实时天气能渲染出来的东西，有些你通过那个面板你做不出来，有这个问题了已经是吧
？That are not like and for example, notable exceptions are the CRJ. The Twin Otter, the PMDG PC6. So that is all true. And just to explain that, so unlike a PC, a console is considered a closed environment. You know, consoles always have the problem is that they can't be hacked. They shouldn't crash. Yeah. And anyways, but they can't be hacked. And so everything is in a sandbox. So, and then some of the plane makers, specifically people that have been in the industry for a long time, they have a lot of code that they wrote in C++. And C++ is a security risk if you don't have it in a sandbox. So we basically work on something called WASM. And that translation keeps it safe. So it's in a sandbox, but it's some amount of work, and B, and the time we ran into this was actually the PMDG DC6. So we tested it, we announced it. I don't know if you remember, we actually put a trailer up on our own web saying, hey, you know, Xbox Wire is the website, right? So we put a trailer up saying it's coming. And then we launched it and it didn't work. And we had obviously spent weeks, if not months, testing it on Xbox. And the difference is we test, and the way this works is we test on something called Development Kit, which is essentially the same as the retail kit, except some security things. And it worked on the dev kit just fine, and we put it out in the marketplace and it didn't work because it broke some rules of the console. And maybe just to put it in perspective, I don't know how many of you are gamers. There really isn't anything like a third-party open marketplace on a console. It doesn't really exist. But Microsoft Flight Simulator actually is a big deal at Microsoft, and the platform team committed. They said, we want to enable this scenario. We want to bring third-party planes with with essentially C++ code in a sandbox to the platform. And that's where it's currently at. So it's with the platform team. We need the platform team to make this real and to keep the platform safe, right? We don't want Xbox to get hacked because some third party playing on Flight Sim, right? That would be bad PR. So they're committed. It's multiple teams on the platform side, and it's going to take a few months is the reality. We have done what we can. We are actually talking about, there is sort of a way we could do it as sort of a kludgy hack that we've been discussing, but we're evaluating the long-term implications if we really do this. So we could get the plane to use sooner, but there might be some not so great things happening once the platform team actually enables the functionality. So that's the trade-off. Well, we are highly motivated, as you know. There's tons of people on Xbox. When I said that at the outset, we have
现在讲的是 Xbox 上的一些问题，最严重的是 DC6 那个，现在还没恢复，现在还在讲，一会儿我跟他说一下。
So we are really considering this right now. The platform, the good news is the platform's doing it. Yay, that is great. And then we might be doing something shorter term because the platform thing might take, I mean, it could take 6 months. We don't know.
简单来说是这样，那个现在 DC6 还没恢复，是因为那个因为 Xbox 他们要追求安全性，所以很多东西是在沙盒里。技术上讲啊，就是听不懂也没关系，回来我会单独做一个视频解释。很多在沙盒里，然后 C++ 代码现在没有沙盒环境，所以是转成了 WebAssembly， 但是这个转换过程有很大问题。然后他们本身 DC6 是测试过，是在自己的测试器上测试的，没问题。然后放到正式的 Xbox 环境上出事了。然后因为这个问题，他们发现底层的沙盒环境有问题，最后他们决定要完善沙盒环境，能让它支持 C++。但是这个工作还在做，还得几个月，所以现在 DC6 还得等。Xbox 现在是这么个状态。
Improvement or a big performance improvement with the same quality on the GPU side, of course. And so definitely we're going to bring that to the so basically what is
你忘了之前几代的模拟飞行是谁做的了
where we are basically improving DX12. It's going to have DLSS. It's going to have multi-screen optimizations.
DLSS 确定。
And the team is trying to bring, so we're merging this into the main branch, and then it's going to come out in a sim update.
DLSS 终于确定了，他们要做。
Maybe 10, but maybe not. Maybe if it slips. So that's currently our target, but it may be slipping later into the year. I think on the roadmap, you said 22. We don't have exact date yet, but we're trying to get it into 10. But maybe it could be 11 or after. But so yeah, DLSS is working. It's great, great performance boost, especially at high resolutions, and other things are coming with it.
Yeah, we were talking about multi-screen. This is part of the also the improvement we would like to bring. It has been started to be efficient in this branch, but we can't commit yet. We would like to be good. Well,
另外，应该你半小时前的那个他们讲启动你没看到，如果你看到的话，刚才你那句话应该是能收回去。我可以向你保证。
Another chat question I saw: Is there going to be a Sim Update 8 beta, and will it be public?
Yes, we should have. Yes. So it should be
just about
yeah, it should be very soon.
Yeah, right after what Update 7 is in market.
Okay.
系统更新8应该会有一次公测，只能说应该会有。
Still working on to do some tests on it, and then it's going to be exposed to the beta branch.
Cool, thank you. Another forum question: Could we have more frequent, quote-unquote, cleanup sim updates in the future?
Guess what? I made a big speech earlier this week, and had something to do with stability. I saw some numbers I didn't like, honestly.
你首先明白，除去中国大陆和俄罗斯，应该都没问题。但是中国大陆和俄罗斯这两块地儿往这一放，你就发现亚洲没法做了。
So just go in the forums and it's like, yep, it's crashing for some people, and And then we had our user research team reached out to some folks, and they said very similar things.
欧美的测绘数据是开放的呀，你很容易获取到的。
6+ weeks are going to be focused on that. So
yeah, can I hide a word on that? So
啊，不止大陆和俄罗斯，中东那块也是问题。中东你放测绘你敢去吗？这也是事儿。然后你看剩下的亚洲都有啥了？日本、韩国不用说，这个比较发达，其实就是时间问题。菲律宾和印尼那块，我觉得是应该做，那块的山地比较多，确实要更新一下，而且是能更新的。他们的政治压力不是特别大。剩下就是几个政治压力很大的地方，大陆不说了，俄罗斯、印度、中东那几个，你都懂的。
Embracing this philosophy, I would say. And for Sim Update 9, so yes, we want to find those stability issues. The problem is every single stability issues we add internally in Sobo were fixed, obviously, because it's like the problem here. I was talking earlier in this video that we are struggling because there's a lot of different use cases in this simulation.
第三方是没有测绘数据的，第三方的地图全是人工打造的3D 模型，不是测绘的。那么微软官方的那些做法是，你可以看一下病因地图，是用测绘数据过来强化，跟第三方做法不一样。
Use the forum, be as precise as possible.
现在还讲的是修复 bug 的这方面。刚才有人问到，像下个月的更新是修 bug 的清理行动，然后有人问到未来还会不会这种级别的补丁？现在讲了这个，他们现在说实话不能给出任何承诺，但也不能说把话说死。现在是这么个环节。就是讲一个讲绘画的环节，可以这么说。
Performance issues on long flights. We are deeply and actively trying to reproduce that. I've got a list somewhere on how many long flights we did like within the last three weeks. Like I would like to thank our testers Maxime, Valentin, Romain.
是能精细，但这里有个问题。
A flight that was more than 24 hours, for instance.
俄罗斯我不确定，但是中国大陆的那个地图测绘法规定了，你不能做的太精细，即便你有那个数据，你也不能公开。这个法律是写死的。
We also have some people have for long flights have this black screen issue when everything's shutting down. Same here. We have no repro, so please, if you can help us. That would be really, really welcome. Please help us to find this repro. So definitely we'll spend more time on that. But it's complicated because it takes so much time to find this repro on bugs. And without repro, it's just guessing. And when you just guess crashes and fixes, you can't.
但 Google 外挂你也发现，中国大陆的精度也不高啊，跟其他地区比差太远了。就是我说这个问题，你法律上你都做不到。
But a lot of people call beta, we call it flighting. We're going to try to make world updates such that they are not in that system, that they're basically downloadable from the marketplace. That's at least the goal. And at that point, we would have almost 2 months, at least 6 weeks or so, to flight and get feedback. And so some people were saying, hey, you have regressions and stuff. It's true, because we put highly complex software out there that is really just, it's not tested enough, right? We need more configurations out there and people actually in the real world playing. That's not just our setup, because we have plenty of testers, nearly 50 testers now, but that's not enough. So we need more time and hope that you guys are flighting or testing the beta, and then we're going to make sure that it's stable going forward. But it's a laser focus of the next 6 weeks.
Yep.
For sure. And by the way, Sim Update 8, I don't want to say, hey, we're focusing on crash bugs because Sim Update 8 isn't stable. That's not the case.
是啊，就是我说那个问题啊。
What the team said we would do, fixing
大陆的测绘数据
there was this thing with NVIDIA.
就是这个样子。
Saw that over the holidays. There was like a whole ton of bugs associated with their driver issue, or what we perceived as their driver issue. So we think Sim Update 8 is more stable than what you have.
就比如一个很简单的现象，
There is still crash bugs.
你看任何地图 App、地图网站、地图应用，
That's the focus.
在国内
And just a reminder,
机场都是空的，
seeing a lot of sim update
没有地图，
there is actually
这是法律上明令禁止。
another dev Q&A that's going to happen, I think, right before Sim Update 8. So we'll dive in even deeper, probably in that one, into some of the bug fixes and that kind of stuff for Sim Update 8. Just so you don't think that we don't have more time to talk about it, we definitely do. Next question I have here. This is going back to when we were talking about the Fokker. Is that going to include a PDF manual?
So we're trying to figure out how to get PDFs out there. I mean, we can put it on the website, but we can't put it on Xbox. So that's actually the problem. So remember the Junkers? So Oliver has written a manual, and I, Elise is still here. I think you've written a manual. I haven't read it, but I think it's coming. And the plan is to make manuals for all future plans. But we still have this.
这是官方飞机未来都会带用户手册。
Xbox, some people say, hey, maybe put it on a tablet.
但现在的问题就是Xbox 版这个手册文件怎么给你？他们还在研究这个问题。对 ，PC 版的话直接给你扔点文件就行，这不是事儿。
But I heard you. We promised it. We're doing it. So it's just a question of mechanics, really.
Okay, thank you. This question is for Seb. Can we talk about the bug? You get a performance hit when you kind of pop out instruments or panels into other screens.
哦，这个问题。
You were looking at that earlier. So can you tell us a little bit about that bug in it?
Yeah, so there's a partial fix coming on Sim Update 8. When I mean partial, it affects some computers. So this is and it doesn't fix it on mine. So it's but it's a complex problem between it's the VSync which is fighting when we have different windows and basically somehow for some reason it adds a VSync when it shouldn't, and it just basically blocks the GPU. But on some computers with Sim Update 8 it's better. It doesn't block anymore. So I think it's a partial fix, and we're trying to.
刚才说的这个问题是，估计很多人都遇到过，就是如果你在模拟器里任何窗口能弹出来的，比如说ATC 的那个窗口，或者说一些仪表是能弹出来的，作为独立窗口。但如果你这么做的话，你的帧率会受到很大影响。然后官方现在开发组是已经注意到并且定位到这个问题了，下个月会修正，这样。 还是我说海河光阳，还是我说那个半小时前他们在谈的那个启动模型的那些词，如果你看了的话
frankly, right now every update we do, World Update 7 is currently going through a certification. Went in on whenever Monday, I think. So that's just a bug we don't know about, honestly. If you have something like this,
ATC 不要想了，这 ATC 不是他们的目标，这不是他们目标，而且他们本身是和 VADSIM 有合作的，所以他们也不用管的这个问题。
Okay, thank you. All right. So, do we have any AI traffic logic and behavior improvement plans for 2022?
这个问题谁问的？这个是那个 AI 交通的一个事，这个早就公开过，今年会有大改。
Having us just trying to patch the system we had on FSX, and it's most probably the right time now to start from scratch, or at least to rewrite a significant amount of the code we've got.
总之 ATC 你先不用想，然后今年的主题就是他们官方的工作，今年的最大主题是启动，然后他们的做法是改流旋桨。刚才已经快1小时了吧？1小时前看直播的，大家也能够看到了，对吧？地勤是他们也计划今年也会改。 但是现在只有计划还没开工。
So just saw Matt Nishan piping in the chat. Hey Matt, the core sim team, that is a strike team internal between Working Title, Microsoft, and Asobo, just discussed this, and there is a roadmap exactly how to improve the AI and landing.
但今年至少上半年很明显是他们核心开发团队的目标就是改气动，
Yes,
对吧？
and also
刚才看螺旋桨那些
relationship
气动，大家都看到
AI
了。
in ATC and all that. On the forums, people are exactly right now. People are talking about ATC and the relationship between the AI traffic and the ATC.
Yeah.
This is part of the like it's global. We want to embrace that.
Yep. Okay. This question is for Seb, going back to your presentation when you were showing the prop wash. So does the prop wash, is it going to interact with objects like trees, buildings, and water, or will it be terrain?
So currently this is already natively interacting with the plane itself. And then, so we have a API that we used, which basically allows to look up this airflow that you saw, for example, on the tarmac. And so
欢迎来到现代化游戏开发，没有完善的。
like for, I don't know, you've probably seen.
而且现在微软的整个盈利模式是那个 Game Pass，
These are things we
他们不会有结束这个说法。
this year and using basically whatever comes out.
你说这个总有改动和 bug 是说你是完全不理解软件开发，
Things like that.
从软件开发角度来说是
Yeah, it's possible.
不可能没有 bug，
Also on the
不可能有没有 bug 的程序，这是不可能的。
Same thing, they will have this API where they can look up and say, hey, what's the
然后现在说的是刚才讲气动的时候不讲到 prop wash 吗？就是你的螺旋桨产生的气流影响你飞机的气动，影响你飞机操作面是那个事儿。现在他们问题就是这个系统会不会影响景观，比如说什么树木啊之类的。然后现在开发组确认现在的目标是只影响飞机自己。
When there's a hole, let's say on the right side, and you skid into the wind, there's more air coming into the pitot, like the static pressure hole, things like that. Basically, there's it's a bit more complex than just incoming air.
一看你就刚才我说的，你没有看刚才的那个他们讲的那个事情。
By the airplane itself, and so little things like that could improve.
来，刚才讲的是这个玩意儿。
You can look up basically
1小时前了已经。
the temperature, because it's a quite big difference. It can be a few degrees difference based on the pressure drop over the wing, and so we can have icing now where there is lift or things like that were not possible before, and so yeah, that's the kind of improvements that we will bring, and that also plane makers can use to make the simulation better.
Yeah. Thank you, Seb. Going back to improvements when we were talking about Xbox and the Xbox platform, is there any push to eventually allow Xbox players to have the ability to import .plm files from external sources, maybe using something like OneDrive?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those security things we need to be careful with. It's just
回到你这个问题上，
I mean there's a whole bunch of questions.
这代微软模拟飞行是不会。 整个的开发方式已经全变了。你像 X-Plane， 他们下一代是跳蚤版本号12，但你要明白 ，X-Plane 12你是要购买的，它是一个新的产品。那是 X-Plane 12是一个新的产品，但是现在微软的整个微软 整个微软游戏集团的策略已经全变了。要明白这一点。
It's just one nibble at a time.
如果你关注游戏新闻的话，你应该知道微软上周买了动视700亿美元，这个事情会影响整个游戏界的。
Just this morning, I heard there's like 14 different liveries, and they obviously are flight aware, so we even know which planes.
现在这个问题是一些 PC 版像 PC 版一样的一些外部文件，比如说什么。 涂装之类的，到底能不能导到 Xbox 上？然后 York 的说法就是还是这个安全性的问题，但他们还在去探讨具体方式，没有把话说死。
But that's the goal. And then as far as like custom liveries, yeah, there's other ways to do it, like obviously games like Forza managed to do it. So we are talking about that. It's I'm not sure it's a 2022 thing, honestly, but it's
涂装的问题。说起涂装，他提到了 Forza， 玩过 Forza 的都知道啥意思了。但是他也说不是今年的工作目标，所以今年估计可能不会有。
I like that idea.
你说这个没有说到本质上东西，你的疑问是什么？你是哪方面的
？You know, they're third-party companies, right? They ship when they want to. So you have to take
好起来，明年再说吧。涂装工作室今年不会有，刚才的意思就是今年不要想，今年没时间做那玩意儿。
They will ship it when they think it's ready, and so we don't have any control over it. All we can do is remove friction.
风切片是那个气象那块的，气象那块是独立更新的，跟它气动关系不大。就是我说关系不大，而是一个独立更新系统。
Worldwide SKU, so we're actually translating a bunch of stuff, and it takes time. Like people send us their description text late, and that actually causes sometimes a delay of a week or two, right? And so just recently, last week actually, with the Twin Otter, we were sitting there like, man, should we just finish the translation or should we get the Twin Otter out there? And we just decided, let's put it out there English only, and then we will bring the translations of the sales text or whatever and the description text in a week or two, right? And I think that's the right trade-off. Ultimately, we want to be day and date. We can't force anybody, right? They can do whatever they want with their plane, but we want to be a great partner. We try to help where we can, and we're going to try to get that number to zero delta days between shipping on the website and shipping in the marketplace.
Yep, perfect. And one more popular question I've seen throughout the whole stream is, are there any plans or updates on bringing replay mode to Xbox? Right now, beta is available on dev mode only.
So replays consumes memory and hard drive space. So it's something
讲的是Xbox 上是不是能有录像的功能
？So far we've decided to remove this option.
开发组担心的是内存占用的问题，
It's not that we don't want to
怕把内存撑爆。
that it creates some issues, and we would love to find a solution for that. But for now, we don't have any.
Okay.
Hey Jane.
Yes.
I just want to say, I see, like, first off, thank you everybody for joining. That's the first thing. You spent a good amount of time with us, and I hate to cut this off a little bit too early. Do you want to do another 15 minutes?
你说的这个气流转动或抖动是现在他们的天气系统是天气生成出来之后是比较固定的，原因是这个。现在他们的天气动态不是没有，几乎是没有动态。他们比如说实时天气的话是每隔一段时间更新一次数据，所以并没有那种很乱的乱流出现，是因为这个原因。就是他们的气动模拟是支持的，只不过他们的气象数据上没有这个数据。是原因是到这儿，至于他们的能不能做到那个你要的结果，那就是另说了。
It's time consuming on this. So we've got everything's planned there. It has not been prioritized yet. So we will see when, I was talking about having a balance between new features and.
不过，风暴模拟是存在的。比如说，你现在在游戏的那个逐度挑战里，进强风挑战里，很多你能感受到那个风暴的气流乱流是存在的，是他们是能做出来，但是现在的气象系统去承载它有问题，是这个意思。
Internally, I say it's the year of the third-party plans, but what it really means also is that it's the year of the sim. Like last year, we had the Xbox SKU that I think was great work was done, specifically optimization, but it was a distraction. Then we did a huge effort to get Reno up and running. I think you probably know this if you played Reno. It's crazy town. And then we did the Game of the Year edition also. And this year we're
数据赛问题就是更新频率以及他们给的数据里是不是有那个乱流数据，是这个问题。
Right, we would rather have the 50 people work on. Getting the course
这就看微软自己的谈判能力了。微软名号去拿的话，我觉得问题不大。
So expect that's the goal. That end of 22, we all look at each other in the eye and said, you know what, there's a shit ton of improvements in the core sim space, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
现在是项目负责人向大家说，今年的目标是改气动，就是说刚才这个事情。今年的核心目标是改气动。
Back to one of Seb's videos, question for you, Seb. Showing those airflow visualizations that are going to be available, is that going to be in dev mode or is that something separate? If you have any information.
你说的没错，但我想问的是，现在有啥做出来了？我这个问题我是真不知道啊，这方面我只接触过这代模拟飞行，所以这个问题我是真不知道，所以我想问一下。
Currently, it's using dev mode features, which are I would say not the fastest in terms of display. So it's okay, right? It slows down just a little bit. Obviously, we could invest time in making it a more optimized GPU shader, but well, I don't know how necessary that is. So I probably dev mode to start with, and we'll see. I think it's something. Yeah, I think it's something. I mean, personally, when I switch it on, I use it quite a lot, and I you get these moments like, oh, that's why. I mean, all these things you learn when you fly airplanes, and you always, I mean, you can't see the air, right? I mean, most of the time. Maybe when there's a little bit of clouds or whatever, but most of the time you can't see it. And when you can all of a sudden see what's going on, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I understand what's happening. It remembers me the wake turbulence videos we watched to understand how dangerous this is. And people, they have this smoke. They fly pretty much through smoke to see it. And so, yeah, I think it's something which could maybe become something more like base sim, which you could turn on like an option. But that would be a significantly more work because, well, it's easy and fairly fast to do a quick debug dev mode option, and it's harder to do and something very optimized and a nice shader, I would say. But I mean, depends how useful that would be. We could do that as a more like a core option.
刚才问的是那些气流，刚才看到气流的可视化那个会不会开放成那个通用的设置？
Do we have any update on the announced plane a few months ago?
那你也说了，它不是本身做到的，通过外部程序。你要说通过外部程序的话，现在微软模拟飞行也能做到，你是能把数据给倒进去。
The Twin Otter took a little longer. Not that it's our plane, but it took.
那我觉得这个层面上，我觉得没有讨论价值啊。你这样这么说的话。
So the team at Asobo kept working on the ATR to the degree that there's a role. It's a collaboration right between the two teams. So I think the R team kicked ass, got the plane really to an awesome state, sent it over to Hans, and Hans is now starting to work on it, or has started working on it probably.
ATR 还在做，
but it's just going to take
还在做。
right? And we said it's an expert level plane, so we're going to make it an expert level plane. And time is less important than quality here. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
But we probably will invite Hans in for some update here. I think he's super fun, knows a ton. Why not?
Yeah, I think we love that. Do we have any updates on anything VR related? We haven't talked a lot about VR today, so any 2022 plans overall?
是啊，但你刚才也说了，这跟其他你手里有的例子也是官方也没做呀。那你说这些干嘛？我是，你得讨论到点上啊，这个你明白吧？所以你再反过来想，你现在微软的这种开发方式，它很有可能就他自己也做了，对吧？
But it's there was a lot of other distractions going on, so it hasn't been a focus over the holidays.
我并不是在维护微软，我是说这种讨论的内容，你再反过来想，讨论内容是啥？是这个意思，明白吧？
I feel bad for them because I'm not in a position to talk about their work. I'm very sorry about that. And yes, and we consider VR as a platform like Xbox or PC. So every time we're doing something, VR is part of the conversation, obviously. So it's
刚才我也说了，是它现在微软模拟飞行的这个气动模型上是能支撑这个效果，只不过气象数据做不出来，根在这儿。但是如果你的那个是自行定义的气象数据是能做出来的，比如说你在降落挑战里， 是有这些东西的。你要那个效果是存在的，在主流挑战里是有的。
Both hardware-wise and software-wise out there. I was like, it's true, and we want it. It's just a question of when.
Yeah.
我不是说你说的错，我只是说讨论的这个讨论点要抓准，我是这个意思啊。我不是说你说的错，因为你说的是对的，我没否认你。
Those are bugs that we're going to drill in on for that update. Seeing a lot of more questions about the performance bugs as well as the one where the FPS drops from.
Yeah. So basically, yes, we will test and try reproduce. This is the kind of bug. As soon as we get it.
现在官方直播上刚才10多分钟说的还是修各种修 bug 的问题，所以没什么讨论价值。
Then yes, it's gonna be fixed as soon as we find it. That's why if people encounter it and they have any clue on, I don't know what, is it hardware related? Is it plane related? Is it whatever? Is it happening with this add-on, or what is the thing causing it? If it's very random and maybe like 24-hour flight and someone sees it once and then never again.
真的，如果说是从气动模拟的原理来讲，现在好像没有比微软模拟飞行更好的了吧？只不过是飞机调试的问题了。现在。
We don't have any here. That I would love to get some. So as Seb says, once we've got a repro case, it's pretty easy to find what's going on here.
Okay.
That's not the case yet.
Looks like we might have someone who can repro. Well, we'll talk. Cool.
That would be great.
Fantastic. Okay, a few more questions here. This one was logged a little earlier. So the question is, several precision formation flying teams have formed over the past few months, which is pretty cool. One feature that is requested in the future would to have the ability to toggle on and off the ghosting of other planes when flying in close proximity. Is that something that could be done?
Oh, I guess yes. It's not something we talked about.
这个问题问得好。
It's the kind of features that won't cost that much. So
这问题是那个现在已经就是上次更新之后，就是之前几次更新之后，飞机距离不可以离得很近了嘛。然后现在已经有一些专门做飞行编队的团队出现了。然后他们的有一个需求就是，你们能不能，虽说已经离得很近了，但你们能不能提供个选项，把飞机消失的这个设定给关掉？是这个问题。官方说可以有，就只是说可以。你得首先确定一下那个风在游戏里是不是存在，因为游戏的气象不是完全实时的。
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
现在来说是，如果游戏的气象真是把风模拟出来了，那你的那个风的效果是非常的猛的。
Because we are very large product, but there's also things that we can do on our side. So just to answer that part, the store is looking into it, but it's the Microsoft store, right? It's not exactly the fastest moving boat on the seas, because they have so many scenarios that they need to worry about. And then on our side, we talked about what we can do better. I don't know.
关了引擎的话就穿模了呗，能有什么啥事？做不出解体的，不让做。
So we've got we talk to them. We've got a relationship, and as you say, I was complaining, but I was talking about this various amount of configuration and flight scenarios we've got in Flight Sim. I can imagine that the complexity of their work is 1,000 times the one we've got. So yeah, we're working with them.
Mm-hmm. One more question here. When are you planning on making improvements to the InSim marketplace?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this because honestly, I feel a little bit sheepish about it. So Sim Update 8 actually contains something that we call Marketplace 2.0. We try to make the marketplace better and more discoverable and
2月底的更新会带来游戏市场 2.0， 到底会改啥东西呢？
But I'm actually very curious what you all think once Sim Update is out in the wild.
好像也没说具体改啥，反正放了个卫星。
I think it's better.
但这个卫星有点近，2月底。
It's more functional.
Fantastic.
还是我这个问题，你到底在说什么？你刚才提的这个风的问题，
No, I mean,
我们也回答你了，
Monthly is better.
好像并不是因为风的问题。
I'm not saying I have withdrawal symptoms or something, but I think
Felt weird.
it's important to keep the conversation going, right?
Yes.
We do it in writing a lot, and I know we don't write back because we, somewhat can't, but just know we read just about everything we can, and then we have these sessions, and hopefully this was sufficiently interactive.
中文4月，这个又确认了一遍，中文是中文到4月。 至于为什么他们没说， 但这种我估计是科约环节出问题了，当然只是我估计。
Yes, thank you, Jorg, Seb, and Martial. We appreciate you, chat. Thanks
海克朋友，我再重复一遍啊，我并不是在维护微软，我并不是在维护 Asobo， 而是我是就是刚才的这些讨论的过程，我是没有理解你在讨论什么东西，是这个意思。我也并不是说你错，我也并不是说我对，只是可能我没有说到点子上，是这样。
So we'll see you
Alizé
then.
and Eric.
Huh?
Alizé and Eric.
Yes, absolutely. So you've probably seen them in the other SDK Q&As. So until then, we'll see you on the stream on Friday for our weekly community fly-in, and we hope you have a fantastic
官方直播结束了。
and month, and we'll see you soon. All right, bye everyone.
Thank you all. It was fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.